Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. So before I get started, I wanted to come on here and briefly share with y'all what I received today. If you watched my latest video of me putting a spotlight on a Black-owned business, you would know that Curl Days was the one that I was discussing. And at least one of y'all went over and supported them. Thank you very much for that. But I just needed y'all to see the packaging. Y'all don't understand. Like, I've always loved this. If I could have this as a favorite color, this would be my favorite color, even though I already have a favorite color. But I had to show y'all the packaging. But this was the packaging, I think, just because it was what the item is, because that's not been the packaging that I've had before. Everything else was in boxes. So that was my third package, and this is what I had been waiting for. I've been waiting for this brush because that's actually what sold me on finally purchasing the curl cream. Yes, this creamy curl styler. And the guy, his hair was basically how my fro was like a couple of videos back. And he put the product on it and he combed his hair through it. I was like, wait a minute. I mean, he had hang time. He did this. The hair was moving. I was like, all right, now. Y'all sold me. And then he provided a 15% code. Like, he did the absolute most. So anyway, yeah, I had to do 3 different transactions on 3 different days because stuff sells out like crazy. So please, whenever you get a moment, whenever you have a free moment, whenever you have a couple of dollars that you don't mind sparing on a Black business, please head on over to the Curl Days and their website, curldays.com. Go over to IG, it's in their bio, and they have an IG page. Instagram. Well, I keep saying IG over and over again. And they have a YouTube page. Excuse me, y'all. But yeah, I've been waiting for this. It's bigger than what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, I'm going to use it, and it's really soft, so I'm kind of scared because my hair is not, I don't have those really soft and easily manageable curls, so we're going to see how that works. So yeah, continue to support Black-owned businesses, and this is one that you have to keep an eye on because you will go over in the hopes of getting something, and it will be sold out. Anyway, let's get into this recap review. So Melody is doing a photo shoot with the kids in order to get new pictures to put around the house because, you know, she and Martell are no longer together and she feels as though this is a way to help with the new start. Destiny stopped by to kind of support her and see what they had going on, and they were talking, and, you know, she just appreciates the support that she shows her considering she has known Martell longer than she has known Melody. Well, Martell has been in his feelings a lot lately about everything that has been going on. You done lost your family and you got the side heifer pregnant. So he has finally decided to go back to counseling where Dr. Francis is, and he has told us that he'll reach out to him, but then he'll leave a message. Dr. Francis will call him back and he would never return the phone call. So he was just like, oh, okay, well, yeah. He kind of felt some type of way. He was in his feelings, kind of felt embarrassed, and he's been crying and all this other stuff. Dr. Francis had to let him know that it is perfectly fine for a man to cry, so hopefully he does not feel some type of way about that, because y'all already know it's always a situation where something as far as you being Black has to be, oh, well, you Black, you don't need to do this, and you don't need to be in counseling if you're Black, and if you're a man, you don't need to cry. You don't need to show emotions and all this other stuff. So I'm glad that he actually did say that to him. Well, within their conversation, of course, he was like, you know, things were lacking with my wife. And, you know, she didn't do things. She wasn't showing me affection like she used to. She wasn't showing me the attention that she used to. She wasn't complimenting me like she used to. I wasn't getting all the sex that I wanted to anymore. She was basically withholding sex. And so he was like, I was going out getting it elsewhere. Okay. And so he was like, well, it got to a point where even when she started giving it up again, I had been dealing with and getting the stuff from somewhere else that he was just like, I ain't want to give it up. So I had been getting it from somewhere else for so long that he didn't give it up. And people have been wondering, like, why would you do that? And now you've lost your life, your lifeline, which is your family. So it's like, oh, well, you did what you did. Well, Dr. Francis was like, well, what if you get the side heifer pregnant? And he danced all around that. And he was like, but you never answered the question. And he had to eventually tell him that the heifer is already pregnant. So he was looking like, wait a minute, I need to regroup because I wasn't expecting this Negro to say this to me. So, oh my gosh, I was like, no, Dr. Francis, no. So anyway, he was like, well, just because you have done that, that does not make you less than a man. You need to make sure that your children are aware that you are doing everything that you can for them and that you are a good man and all this other stuff. And so he's trying to make it seem like he wants his kids to think of him in a positive way, even when he gets older. So I'm like, okay, whatever, do what you do. So anyway, today is the day that Black is having their soft opening. And of course, if Melody decides to show, Martell is going to be there. So he's feeling some type of way, knowing good and well that he's going to see her. They have the same social circles for the most part. So it's like, especially if you're in Huntsville, you're going to see each other. So you will have to get used to that. But anyway, I'll be back. Okay, y'all. So I am stopping this on purpose because I just want to make sure I get as much, excuse me. I'm being distracted because the most is happening, and those who know. So yeah, the most is happening all around me, and it's making it very, making for a very distracting type of situation. So yeah, anyway, I'm stopping this on and off a whole lot instead of going straight through like I've been trying to do lately because I don't want to miss that much, if anything. So anyway, with this segment, like I said earlier, Martell is on his way to Black's soft opening, and the side heifer calls him while he's on the way. He tells him, hey, what's up? How you doing? How the baby doing? And eventually, she was like, well, it seems like you're hinting at you want a DNA test or something. And he was like, well, I want to know for sure. He gonna say in the confessional, he's not around her 24/7. So, and I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? If you're having sex with her, what does that have to do with whether or not the baby is yours? Like, there's no correlation. If you've had sex with her, there is a possibility. So just say, oh, well, I don't know. Anything could happen. I would like a DNA test. Don't say it's because we're not together 24/7 because that makes absolutely no sense. But anyway, so, you could tell she's getting a little frustrated. He was talking about when he went to his session with Dr. Francis that he, feels a lot better and things, he likes the fact that he is in a positive space right now. And so she was like, you ain't call me another peasant, did you? And he was like, no. And she was like, oh, okay, well, I never can tell with you. He was like, yes, you can. You already know. And I'm like, no, nobody was, I don't feel like anybody was expecting him to call her a peasant. Like, a peasant of all things. Like, I was like, sir, you done did the most. And I'm like, well, you dumb anyway, because at that point you hadn't been pregnant. If you were before, the baby was lost and or aborted. But at that time, you wasn't pregnant, heifer. So why did you sit up there after he called you a peasant and got back with him again and let it buzz it wide open until you bring back? That ain't make no sense. But anyway, I digress. So anyway, he is wrapping up his conversation with Ariane because, he's about to pull up to Black. And so he was like, well, I'll talk to you later. I'm, almost at the soft opening for Black and all that good stuff. And she was like, well, yeah, you've always been good to me. So I expect nothing less than for you to take care of me. And I'm like, yeah, the matching car and all the money that we've heard he has given you and, paying bills and such. I'm sorry. There have been so many receipts over the years that it's like, you will come out and be like, oh, this didn't happen. She's a lie. And then you'll have to come back and be like, well, yeah. Just like with the pregnancy situation. They both sat up there and lied when she was pregnant. And there were receipts pointing to the fact that she was pregnant. Like, she tried to say she wasn't pregnant at all. Then, not long after that, we found out she pregnant. But then she tried to say she wasn't pregnant by him. Then after that, she was like, well, yeah, I'm pregnant by him. I'm just like, what is the point of lying? Like, you can't say face. You are already known as the side heifer. Like, What's the point? But anyway, y'all, I digress. Let's get into this foolishness that might pop off at Black. Hold up. So Martell got there. He like the first person outside of Letitia and Marceau to be there or whatever. So then Chris and his wife come, the Fletchers. I guess I never look at the TV when the wife's name pop up. Her name is Nail, as in Nail. What is going on? But anyway, I'm like, what? No, I put my glasses on for a minute and everything. I was like, what in the world? Nail? But okay, I ain't trying to read her name. I just didn't know that's what it was. It is what it is. I have seen worse. So y'all know Whitney from Bring It. She has a name that she wants to name her baby, because just in case y'all ain't know, she's pregnant and she's had miscarriages and all that stuff before, but she's pregnant. And one of the names that she's come up with that she wants to name the baby that the baby daddy ain't here for is Dream. J-R-E-A-M. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But anyway, I ain't reading, I'm just saying that that's what it is. What? Okay, y'all, I'm tired. See, this is why I have to keep pausing, because stupidity keeps being spoken. So, of course, we know what happened last time when Martell and Melody got together and Melody threw stuff at him, glass was broken, all that good stuff. So, like I just said, Chris and his wife Nell are there, and, you know, of course, they said something to him about it. And why Letitia talking about, well, you know, I think it's important for people to speak their truth in order to move forward. And if that's what it is, I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that, because they're trying to, you know, explain to her and, you know, just saying in general, like, oh, well, you know, yes, things were spoken, but it was just the way that I'm like, girl, you weren't there. You don't understand. He's one of those people that he will say something to continuously trigger you. And then once he's able to finally push that button, it's like, oh, look at you getting like this. It's like, but you did all this pushing and pressing. And now that you done got all of this to raise up out of me, now you want to try to come at me like, oh, look at you. Look how you acting. That's something my ex used to do too, because I don't normally get out of character at all. I don't normally raise my voice. I don't normally do none of that. But he would sit up there and try me. And I can literally count on one hand out of the 10 years that I was with that person that I would be like, because I would be defeated. I would literally be defeated and would sigh or something like that. I would never holler, cuss, none of that at him. But as soon as he could see that I was annoyed, it was, look at you. See what I'm talking about? See what I got to deal with? After you done tried me. But I digress. So anyway, y'all, I'm like, Heifer, how is it that you can see all of this as it pertains to Melody and her soon-to-be ex-husband, but you're not understanding that that's what you should have been doing when y'all were talking, you and Melody? I don't understand. I can't. Like, and her husband was looking at her like, and I'm like, Marceau, me and you, we on the same page as far as that concerned. Your wife see everything. She see everything she want to see and hear everything she want to hear. And it's like, do you realize what you just said applies to what you refuse to do yourself? Like, girl, shut up. If you ain't going to follow your own advice, shut up. Well, Letitia pulled Melody to the side and ultimately apologized and admitted that she was wrong and that everything went left the last time they linked up was because of her. And I'm like, yeah, the energy did shift because of you. And I'm glad that production played back the moment after she had gotten home and was telling Marceau everything. And he told her, it's your fault. How you think somebody gonna accept an apology and move forward or anything when you telling them, oh, I feel like what you saying is a lie or some BS. So I'm glad that they continuously play that back for that heifer to understand that she's wrong. Even though I honestly don't think she believes that she was wrong. But anyway, I digress. Well, Martell and Melody's brother are going to go to the side and have a conversation that I feel is going to go very left. But before that conversation happens, Jalen, who is the general manager, and just in case y'all have forgotten, is Kimmy's biological son, who, you know, does not know all of what he wants to do right now, but for right now, he is going to do this. He called and told Marceau that, you know, they have the big reveal at a certain time. And so everybody was told that they had to go out to the patio, and they did the big reveal. And before the big reveal happened, Marceau made this speech, and he said that, you know, this is going to be a legacy. We're not just doing this. This is something that you're passing down, whatever. And then they did the big reveal, and it was literally just him and his brother's sons. And I'm just like, y'all got, you know, he got a daughter too. Like, what's his name? Only got a son. So I understand that. But Destiny was like, what about the daughters though? And so Melody was like, well, you know, he is a little sexist. And I'm like, the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. I'm sorry. She said what she said. The truth is the truth. It just is what it is. Despite the fact that almost everything that Marceau has been saying this season has been facts on top of facts, the fact will continue to remain is that he is pretty much sexist. But yeah. So yeah, they went off to the side. Martell and Marcus, who is Melody's brother, and they're going to have a very interesting conversation that, again, I feel is going to go left. So let's see how it goes. So the conversation happened between Martell and Marcus, and ultimately Martell was like, I want my kids to have a foundation where it's based off of husband and wife, not husband and husband, because Melody's brother is a gay male living in Atlanta and has a husband. Now, ever since everything has gone down between Melody and Martell, she has spent a lot of time down in Atlanta versus being in Huntsville to get away from him and all the drama that is swirling around the city, which I don't blame her. And even though they are booming and they are probably going to surpass my home city, which is the capital right now, Montgomery, Alabama, in numbers, and become the capital themselves, it's still a pretty small town. I've been there before. I already told y'all before, my ex lives there and it's from there. So yeah, I would not want to be there. I'm pretty sure it's the talk of the town. We've seen moments in the past where it has been the talk of the town as far as smaller things that have happened as they eventually started to blow up in each other's faces. Like, it's a lot. So they talking. He's being very disrespectful to Marcus, even though Marcus was like, you know, I'm not trying to tell you how to raise your kids, and I'm not understanding why you're trying to make it seem like I wouldn't be a good role model, because, and I see exactly what he's saying. My thing is, who I'm screwing or who I'm with should not dictate or make you feel like, oh, my kids shouldn't be around you as much as they are because of who I have sex with or how I identify. Because he has been in the education field for over 20 years. He is a minister. He apparently has a whole lot of amazing things going on, and people look up to him, and he's been very positive. So the fact that the only thing that he seems to want to focus on is his sexuality has been an issue. Well, it gets to the point where Melody walked over there and was like, okay, what y'all talking about? And I already saw her cut her eyes when they first went off to the side anyway, because she was just like, yeah, I ain't got time for him to come at my brother sideways again. And so they let her know what it was about. And so she was like, okay, the foundation has already been laid, and it was, you know, husband and wife. So what are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, they saw y'all together. So what are you talking about? Like, I feel like a lot of people on this show don't understand the meaning or the phrases, what they are, as far as what they are trying to convey. And it comes out stupid. It makes them look stupid. And then the fact that they from Alabama, it makes us continuously look stupid. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody loves to say that somebody is Obama, and I've always despised that, because there are people who are from everywhere else, from all over the United States, all over the world, and they do stupid stuff. But especially if you are from Alabama, they'd be like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I knew y'all, I could tell they're from Alabama. And it was like stuff like this. I'm just like, okay, see, this is why. But anyway, I digress on that part. But yeah, so eventually it gets to a point where the two of them are going back and forth. Her brother gets up and walks off. and they're talking, and it's, to me, it's giving off a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde vibe, because, y'all excuse me, something is irritating my nose. But yeah, giving me a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde vibe, because Martell, one minute, he'll see her crying, and he was being nice and giving her a tissue, because he was like, well, you know, I still love you, da-da-da-da. And, you know, he was saying stuff to her that apparently he'd never said to her, but she's like, well, I mean, if you hadn't been doing what you're supposed to do in our marriage, then you know I would still be with you. I wouldn't have left you. He was like, well, I would have left you eventually because you wouldn't give me what I wanted in my marriage. So it's like, yet again, here you go. You're triggering somebody. Then when you get a reaction out of them, then you want to call them all out of their name and all this other stuff. Like, I cannot stand people like that. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. That's why every time Martell says certain things, it just makes me flash back to my ex, because I'm just like, this is literally the same thing. You be minding your business, and you'll just be trying to have a normal conversation, and they'll be wrong as two left shoes, but they'll sit up there and try to blame you for something, and then you sit there, try to talk to them, or you sit there and listen. My ex would get mad because I would sit there and listen to him, even though I know he'll lie. I know you a lie. I know you are a lie. I've seen receipts, but I'm sitting there listening to all your lies. But because I will sit there quietly, or I will respond in a normal tone instead of hollering and screaming and busting windows out of cars and all the ghetto things that people love to associate with black women, oh, it's a problem. And eventually I'm lashed out at and all this other stuff. And then when I'm triggered, it's a problem. Like, I never understood that. That's always been stupid to me. But this is exactly what Martell is doing. And then she was like, you over here doing what you're doing with these hoes. And so he has proceeded to call her a hoe. And so she was like, I know you didn't try to call me. Like, I was just like, oh, no, you done went all the way out. It done got bad. And it literally just kept happening and being a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde moment. And I'm like, why are you acting all right in one moment, then the next minute you over here trying her and then get mad when she is triggered? Like, no. So then eventually he get up and walk off because he don't want to hear the truth. And I'm just like, bruh, please go somewhere and sit down. So then Destiny came over. She's crying. And she asked her what's going on. And she was like, I just can't with him. I just want him to sign the papers. And I mean, like, within their conversation before he even left, she was like, look, I ain't got time to go back and forth with you. You ain't even got a lawyer no more. What is going on? Just sign the papers. And so he gets very angry at the fact that she has mentioned I guess it was a fact that he no longer has legal representation. Why are you so mad that she has said, why you ain't got a lawyer no more? We trying to move forward in this process. My lawyer trying to figure out what's going on because we trying to go ahead and be done. And she has said to him within the same conversation, I just want things to end amicably. That is it. All I want to do is that. Sign the paperwork so we can be done. I'm tired. So anyway, Destiny trying to talk to her and comfort her. And, you know, she's still crying. Then eventually Kimmy and Letitia come over there. And she was just like, look, Kimmy, I know you feel like Martell is this upstanding, nice guy, but he's just not. He trash. He is what he is. And so Letitia actually said a few things, trying to act like she's somewhat of a friend. And I was just like, oh gosh. He let everybody know that he called her a hoe. Everybody was tired in their spirit. Like, they had a little kumbaya moment. Then they went off and they took pictures, and that was the end of that. Anyway, next week is supposed to be an interesting episode. Y'all go watch that preview if you haven't seen it. Anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thumbs up this video, and let's get down in the comments section and discuss it. Have a good one. Bye-bye.